Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy.
The first sign my marriage was ending came wrapped in a hotel keycard and my wife's lipstick-stained lies. I'm Jamie Parrish, 39 years old, co-owner of Parrish Electrical with my older brother John. We've been wiring this mid-sized Michigan city for 15 years, building something real, while my wife Beth built her fake Instagram empire from our kitchen counter. She calls herself an influencer now, though the only thing she influences is our credit card debt and my arterial pressure. Some husbands think they're irreplaceable, Beth said that Tuesday morning, not looking up from her phone as she photographed her organic quinoa bowl. The ring light cast harsh shadows across her face, making her look older than 37. You're absolutely right, I replied, sipping my coffee. Just like some wives think they're interesting. She finally looked up, her blue eyes flashing with that familiar mix of hurt and rage. God, Jamie, do you have to be so sarcastic about everything? It's one of my many charms, right up there with paying for your photography equipment and pretending your mommy blogger friends don't make me want to drink bleach. Beth's phone buzzed with notifications, always buzzing, always more important than whatever was happening in real life. We need to talk about the anniversary cruise, she said, thumb already scrolling. Gina thinks we should upgrade to the premium package. Better lighting for content creation. I set down my mug harder than necessary. I canceled the cruise. That got her attention. What? Jamie, you can't just... Already did. Bought something better with the money. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo I'd posted an hour earlier. A cherry red Mustang convertible, gleaming in our driveway. Figured I'd try something that actually responds when I turn it on. Beth's face went white, then red. You bought a car without telling me? You post pictures of your breakfast without telling me. I figured we were past the courtesy update stage of our relationship. She was already typing furiously on her phone, probably texting her little support group of suburban moms who treated marriage like a competitive sport. Within minutes, my post had 12 comments, mostly from Beth's friends asking if I was newly single and ready to mingle. I couldn't help but grin. Looks like your followers think I'm quite the catch. Beth slammed her phone down. This isn't funny, Jamie. Do you know how this makes me look? Like you're married to someone with excellent taste in automobiles? Like my husband is having a midlife crisis and doesn't respect me enough to include me in major financial decisions? I stood up, straightening my Parrish Electrical polo shirt. Respect is earned, Beth. And lately you've been spending yours faster than you've been making it. The kitchen fell silent, except for the hum of her ring light and the distant sound of our daughters getting ready for school upstairs, Beau 15 and Bree 13. The only two people in this house who still laughed at my jokes and meant it when they said they loved me. I'm going to work, I said. Try not to turn our marriage into content while I'm gone. Beth didn't respond, already back to her phone, probably crafting some passive-aggressive post about unsupportive partners and toxic masculinity. The drive to Parrish Electrical usually cleared my head, but that morning felt different. The red Mustang handled like a dream, but something was eating at me. John had been acting strange lately, distant, secretive, avoiding eye contact during our weekly business meetings. We'd built this company together after Dad died, and John had always been the charmer while I handled the technical side. But recently, he'd been taking long lunches and mysterious phone calls. Our office sat in a converted warehouse on the edge of downtown, all exposed brick and industrial lighting that made our customers feel like they were dealing with serious professionals. Mary, our office manager, looked up from her computer as I walked in. Oh well, look who's driving the red rocket of rebellion, she said with a smirk. Mary was 62, had worked for us since day one, and took exactly zero crap from anyone. Beth's already called here twice looking for you. Tell her I'm in a meeting with my midlife crisis. We're discussing our future together. I like the car, said Carl Robertson, our VP and my closest friend at the company. Very divorced dad trying to recapture his youth energy. I'm not divorced yet, I said, though the day is young. Carl raised an eyebrow. Yet? Before I could answer, John walked in from the back office, his expensive suit perfectly tailored, his smile just a little too bright. Jamie, heard about your new wheels. Very flashy. Flashy gets attention. Attention gets results. I studied his face, looking for something I couldn't quite name. Speaking of attention, You've been hard to pin down lately. Everything okay? Just busy, new projects, new opportunities. He clapped me on the shoulder, but his hand felt heavy, guilty. We should grab lunch soon, catch up properly. Sure, I said. I'll check my calendar. See when I'm free between my midlife crisis appointments. John laughed, but it sounded forced. He headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Jamie, maybe tone down the social media drama. It's not great for the company image. The door closed behind him before I could respond, leaving me standing there with a growing suspicion that my problems went deeper than an attention-seeking wife and her pyramid scheme friends. That suspicion crystallized into certainty when I got home that evening and found Beth in our bedroom, hastily shoving something into her purse. She jumped when she saw me, guilty as a cat with canary feathers in its mouth. You're home early, she said. It's 6:30, same time I always get home. I nodded toward her purse. Going somewhere? Book club, I told you this morning. No, you told me about your quinoa bowl and how unsupportive I am. Book club must have slipped your mind. I stepped closer, and that's when I saw it, a hotel key card on our dresser, partially hidden under her jewelry box. Good book? Beth followed my gaze and went pale. That's from last month. Girls' Weekend in Grand Rapids. I picked up the key card. It was dated 3 days ago from the Marriott downtown, the same hotel where John had mentioned having a business dinner with potential clients. Must have been a really good book, I said quietly. The kind that requires overnight accommodations and leaves lipstick stains on hotel receipts. Beth's composure cracked. Jamie, I can explain. I'm sure you can. You're very creative. It's what makes you such an influential influencer. I slipped the key card into my pocket. Don't wait up. I've got some reading of my own to catch up on. I left her standing there, probably already composing her next post about toxic relationships and emotional misuse. But for the first time in months, I felt something other than resignation. I felt the spark of a plan. The private investigator's name was Tessa Lane, and she had the kind of sharp eyes that missed nothing, and the kind of sharp tongue that made me glad she was on my side. Your wife's not very good at this, she said, sliding a manila envelope across the table of the downtown diner where we'd met. Most people having affairs at least try to be subtle. She's documenting everything like it's a vacation. I opened the envelope with steady hands, though my stomach was doing electrical work on a live wire. Photos spilled out. Beth and John at the hotel bar. Beth and John in the hotel elevator. Beth and John walking into a room together. The timestamps showed they'd been there for 3 hours last Tuesday. The same Tuesday, she'd lectured me about respect while photographing her breakfast. How long, I asked. Based on credit card records and social media posts? At least 3 months. Probably longer. Tessa leaned back in the booth, studying my face. You're taking this better than most husbands. I'm still processing. Give me time to have my breakdown. What's your plan? I gathered the photos and slipped them back into the envelope. I'm throwing Beth an anniversary party. Tessa raised an eyebrow. That's either very mature or very twisted. I'm going with twisted. It's more fun. The plan came together over the next week like a perfectly wired circuit. I booked the country club's main dining room, invited everyone, family, friends, coworkers, and Beth's entire mom squad of wannabe influencers. I told Beth it was a surprise party for her, celebrating our 15 years of marriage and her growing social media success. She bought it completely, even helped me plan the guest list. Make sure you invite Gina and Marcy, she said, practically glowing with anticipation. And that new girl, Jessica, with the lifestyle blog. This could be amazing for my brand. Wouldn't dream of leaving them out, I said. I want everyone to see how amazing you really are. The night of the party, Beth spent 2 hours getting ready, trying on 3 different dresses before settling on a red number that probably cost more than most people's rent. She looked beautiful, which made what I was about to do feel both easier and harder at the same time. You clean up nice, I told her, as we walked into the country club. Thanks, you too. She squeezed my arm, and for a moment, I almost felt guilty, almost. The dining room was packed. John was there with his fake smile and his expensive cologne, working the room like the politician he'd always wanted to be. Beth's mom squad clustered around the bar, phones out, documenting everything for their various social media platforms. Carl caught my eye from across the room and nodded. He was running the technical side of the evening. The slideshow, the sound system, the timing, he didn't know exactly what I had planned. but he knew it was going to be memorable. Ladies and gentlemen, I said into the microphone, tapping my glass for attention, thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate my beautiful wife, Beth, and our 15 wonderful years together. Applause filled the room. Beth beamed beside me, her phone already out to capture the moment. Beth has always been photogenic, I continued, so I thought tonight we'd take a trip down memory lane with some of her recent adventures. The lights dimmed, and the first slide appeared on the big screen. Beth and me on our wedding day, young and happy and stupid with love. The crowd made appreciative noises. Beth's always been good at making memories, I said as more photos cycled through. Family vacations, birthday parties, Christmas mornings with the girls. But lately, she's been making some very special memories, the kind that really deserve to be shared. The photos changed. Suddenly, Beth and John were on the screen, holding hands at the hotel bar. The room went dead silent. Beth gasped. Jamie, what? Don't worry, honey. There's more. Click. Beth and John in the elevator, his hand on her lower back. Click. Beth and John walking into the hotel room, her head on his shoulder. The silence stretched like a live wire about to snap. Beth's face went from confusion to horror to rage in the span of 3 seconds. John was already moving toward the projection booth, but Carl blocked his path with a grin. The really beautiful thing about modern technology, I said into the microphone, my voice carrying clearly through the stunned silence, is how it captures every moment. Every stolen kiss, every secret meeting, every family betrayal. Beth grabbed for the microphone, but I stepped away, keeping my voice level and conversational. See, I thought I was losing my wife to social media addiction. Turns out, I was losing her to my brother, which, if we're being honest, is probably better content for her followers. Suburban mom destroys family for Instagram likes has a nice ring to it. The room exploded. Beth's mom squad was frantically texting, probably sharing the drama in real time. John finally broke through and reached the projection booth, but the damage was done. Everyone had seen everything. Jamie, stop this! Beth screamed, tears streaming down her face. You're humiliating me. No, sweetheart, I said, handing the microphone to a stunned waiter. You already did that. I'm just providing better lighting. John stormed over, his face purple with rage. You son of a witch! How could I what? Find out that my wife and my brother have been screwing behind my back for 3 months? Or how could I decide to share the news with everyone who pretends to care about our family? Beth was sobbing now, her perfect makeup running in black streams down her cheeks. Her phone was buzzing constantly. Notifications, comments, messages from people who'd already seen the photos spreading across social media. This is insane, John said. We can explain. Oh, I'd love to hear this explanation. Please enlighten us all about how family loyalty and marriage vows work in your world. But Beth was already running for the exit, John right behind her, leaving me standing in a room full of shocked faces and buzzing phones. The mom squad looked like they'd just witnessed a car accident, horrified but unable to look away. I straightened my tie and smiled at the remaining guests. Well, that was fun. Bar's still open and I've already paid for dinner. Might as well enjoy it. Carl appeared at my elbow, grinning like a maniac. That was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was just the opening act, I said, watching through the window as Beth and John argued in the parking lot, their voices carrying through the glass. The real show starts tomorrow. My phone was already blowing up with notifications. Beth's Instagram post from earlier, a photo of us arriving at the party with the caption, "Celebrating 15 years with my amazing husband," now had over 200 comments, and none of them were congratulatory. Looks like your wife's finally gone viral, Carl said, reading over my shoulder. Turns out the only thing my wife ever wired right was my brother, I replied. But don't worry, I'm about to fix that connection permanently. The bachelor pad I rented was everything our family home wasn't. Clean lines, minimal furniture, and absolutely no ring lights anywhere. I moved out 3 days after the anniversary party disaster, taking only my clothes, my tools, and a framed photo of Beau and Bree from last summer's camping trip. Beth had spent those 3 days in full damage control mode, posting tearful videos about privacy violations and toxic masculinity, but the internet had already made its judgment. The mom squad had turned on her faster than a blown fuse, and her follower count was dropping like a stone. Dad, this place is actually cool, Beau said, testing out the leather couch in my new living room. At 15, she had my sarcasm and her mother's beauty. a combination that was going to cause me serious problems in a few years. It's so quiet, Bree added, curled up in the oversized chair by the window. No ring lights buzzing, no phone notifications every 5 seconds. That's the idea, I said, handing them both sodas. Sometimes you need space to think clearly. Are you and Mom getting divorced? Bree asked with the directness that only 13-year-olds could manage. I sat down across from them, choosing my words carefully. Your mom and I are figuring some things out. But whatever happens between us, nothing changes how much I love you two. Okay? We know, Bu said. We saw the photos, Dad. Everyone at school saw them. My stomach dropped. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. Don't be sorry, Bree said fiercely. Mom's been acting weird for months. Always on her phone, always going out, always talking about Uncle John this and Uncle John that. We're not stupid. Your Uncle John and I are working through some business issues, too, I said, which was the understatement of the century. Business issues, Bu snorted. Dad, he's been stealing your wife. That's not a business issue, that's a family war. Smart kid. Too smart, maybe. My phone buzzed with a text from Carl. You need to see this. John's at the office, cleaning out his desk. Girls, I need to run to work for a bit. You want to come see the shop? They'd grown up around Parish Electrical, knew every inch of the warehouse, and every member of our small staff. Mary had been feeding them cookies and letting them help with filing since they were old enough to walk. When we arrived, John was loading boxes into his BMW, his movements sharp and angry. He looked up as we pulled into the parking lot, his face darkening when he saw the girls with me. Jamie, he said stiffly, we need to talk. I'm sure we do. Girls, go inside and see if Mary needs help with anything. Bayu and Bree disappeared into the building, but I could see them watching through the front window. John waited until they were gone, then stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. What you did at the country club was unforgivable. What I did? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. John, you've been screwing my wife for 3 months. I shared some photos at a party. Which one of us crossed the line first? It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen? Were you planning to wait until our 20th anniversary? Maybe make it a surprise for Christmas? John's jaw tightened. Beth was unhappy, Jamie. She felt ignored, unappreciated. You were always working, always making jokes, never taking her seriously. So you decided to take her seriously, right into a hotel room. It started as just talking. She needed someone to listen to her, and then she needed someone to sleep with her. How convenient that you were available. John slammed his hand against his car. You think this is easy for me? You think I wanted this to happen? You're my brother. Were, I said quietly. Past tense. Brothers don't do what you did. The business is fake. Mom still owns 60%. I own 25, you own 15. Simple math says you're outvoted on everything from now on. John's face went white. You can't cut me out. I built this company too. You built it, then you tried to tear down everything else. Actions have consequences, John. You taught me that when we were kids. He stared at me for a long moment, then got in his car without another word. As he drove away, I noticed something interesting. His inspection sticker was expired. His registration tags were old, and his left rear tire looked dangerously low. Such a shame when expensive cars break down. That evening, I sat in my clean, quiet apartment and opened my laptop. Beth had posted another video, this one titled, My Truth, Surviving Emotional Misuse and Public Humiliation. She was getting sympathy from strangers, but the comments from people who actually knew us told a different story. Gina, her former best friend, had written, Girl, you cheated on your husband with his brother and got caught. That's not misuse, that's consequences. Marcy, another Mom Squad defector, added, Maybe focus on your daughters instead of your sufferer narrative. Even worse for Beth, her remaining sponsors were dropping her. The yoga mat company, the organic meal service, the boutique clothing brand, all gone, taking their monthly payments with them. My phone rang. Beth's name appeared on the screen. What do you want? I answered. Jamie, please. We need to talk about the girls. They're confused, they're upset. They're fine, they're with me or eating pizza and doing homework without any ring lights or camera equipment in sight. You can't just take them from me. I didn't take them. They chose to come here tonight. Maybe ask yourself why. Silence on the other end, then, I made a mistake, okay? John and I, it was a mistake. A 3-month mistake that you documented on hotel receipts and credit card statements. I want to fix this. I want to save our marriage. I looked around my peaceful apartment, thought about the last 3 days without constant phone notifications and staged photo shoots and passive-aggressive social media posts. Beth, our marriage died the first time you chose your phone over our family dinner. John just helped bury it. That's not fair. Fair would have been you talking to me when you were unhappy instead of running to my brother. Fair would have been ending our marriage before starting a new relationship. Fair would have been considering how this would affect our daughters before you decided to blow up their family for Instagram content. I never meant for them to get hurt, but you did it anyway. That's the difference between us, Beth. When I hurt people, it's on purpose and they deserve it. When you hurt people, it's collateral damage from your selfishness. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer. It was time to make some things official. The next morning brought a delicious surprise. John's BMW was in the parish electrical parking lot, but something was wrong with it. The hood was up, steam was rising from the engine, and John was on his phone, probably calling for a tow truck. I pulled up in my red Mustang, windows down, music playing just loud enough to be annoying. "Car trouble?" I called out. John looked up, his face red with frustration and embarrassment. "Someone put sugar in my gas tank." "That's terrible. Who would do such a thing?" "Cut the crap, Jamie. I know it was you." I got out of my car, hands in my pockets, the picture of innocence. "John, I'm hurt. Why would you think I'd sabotage your vehicle? That would be petty and vindictive. Because you're being petty and vindictive. I prefer thorough and creative, but hey, different perspectives." Carl appeared from inside the building, coffee in hand, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. "Morning, boys. Having a good day so far?" "Fantastic," I said. "Just helping my brother with his transportation issues." John's phone rang, and he answered it with a sharp, "What?" His face went from red to purple as he listened. "That was my insurance company," he said after hanging up. "Someone posted a video of my car breaking down on social media. It's already got 10,000 views." I pulled out my phone and checked. Sure enough, someone had filmed John's morning meltdown from across the street and posted it with the caption, "Karma's a witch. Cheating brother gets what he deserves." "The internet works fast these days," I said. "Very efficient." "This is maltreatment, Jamie. I could call the police." "For what?" "Someone else filmed you in a public place and posted it online. That's called freedom of speech." I headed toward the building, then paused. "Oh, and John, you might want to check your air conditioning when you get the car fixed. I heard there might be some glitter in the system." The look on his face was worth every penny I'd paid the kid from the auto shop to help me with my little prank. Inside, Mary was practically vibrating with glee. "That was beautiful," she said. "Absolutely beautiful." "Just getting started," I replied. "This is going to be a very interesting week." The board meeting was scheduled for Thursday morning, and I'd spent the week preparing like a general planning a siege. John thought he was coming to discuss moving forward as a family business. What he was actually walking into was his professional execution. I'd invited everyone, Mom, Carl, Mary, our 3 biggest clients, and our accountant. The conference room at Parish Electrical had never seen this much tension, and we'd had some memorable arguments over the years. John walked in 10 minutes late, his usual power move, but his confidence looked forced. His replacement BMW, a rental while his sugar-damaged car got repaired, didn't have quite the same intimidation factor. "Sorry I'm late," he said, taking his usual seat at the head of the table. "Traffic was homesick." "No problem," I said from my spot directly across from him. "We were just discussing company loyalty and professional standards." Mom, 72 and sharp as a tack, looked between us with the expression of someone who'd raised 2 boys and knew exactly what that tone meant. "Jamie, what's this really about?" "It's about John's extracurricular activities affecting our business reputation," I said, opening the folder in front of me, "and his complete lack of judgment when it comes to family relationships." John's face tightened. "We agreed to keep personal matters separate from business." "Did we? Because I don't remember agreeing to anything. I remember you sleeping with my wife and then expecting me to pretend it never happened." The room went dead silent. Our clients, Mike Henderson from the school district, Sarah Chen from the medical center, and Tom Bradley from the new shopping complex, looked like they wanted to be anywhere else in the world. "Gentlemen," Mom said sharply, "perhaps we should—" "No, Mom, they need to hear this." I pulled out the photos Tessa had given me and spread them across the conference table. "John has been having an affair with my wife for 3 months. Hotel receipts, credit card statements, witness testimony. It's all documented. Mike Henderson cleared his throat uncomfortably. Jamie, this is really none of our... It is your business when one of the company owners is making decisions based on personal relationships instead of professional judgment. When he's using company time and resources to facilitate his affair. When he's compromising the integrity of everything we've built here. John shot to his feet. That's not true. I never used company resources. The hotel where you met Beth. We're doing the electrical work for their renovation. You used your business relationship with them to get room discounts. The restaurant where you had your romantic dinners? We installed their new lighting system last month. You leveraged our professional connections for your personal betrayal. The evidence was damning because it was true. I'd spent the week tracking every detail, every connection, every way John had mixed business with his affair. John, Mom said quietly, is this accurate? John's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. It wasn't. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did happen, I said. And now our clients are wondering if they can trust a company where the owners can't even trust each other. Our employees are wondering if their jobs are secure. Our reputation is taking a hit because John couldn't keep his pants zipped. Sarah Chen, always direct, leaned forward. What are you proposing, Jamie? John sells his shares back to the company at market value and steps down from all operational roles, effective immediately. He can maintain a consulting relationship if he wants, but he's out of day-to-day management. You can't do this, John said, but his voice lacked conviction. Actually, I can. Mom owns 60%, I own 25%, and that's 85% voting power. You own 15%, which means you get outvoted on everything that matters. Mom studied the photos on the table, her face unreadable. John, I'm disappointed. Not just in what you did, but in how you've handled it. A man takes responsibility for his actions. Mom, please. The motion is to buy out John's shares at current market value and remove him from operational management. All in favor? My hand went up immediately. After a long moment, Mom's followed. Motion carried, I said. John, you have until Friday to clean out your office and turn over your company accounts. John looked around the room desperately, but found no support. Our clients were already mentally distancing themselves from the drama, and Carl was openly smiling. This isn't over, John said, grabbing his jacket. Yes, it is, I replied. It's been over since the moment you chose your pecker over your family. John stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. The silence that followed was deafening. Well, Tom Bradley said finally, that was thorough. We believe in clear communication at Parish Electrical, I said. Any questions about our commitment to professional standards? The meeting wrapped up quickly after that, with our clients reassuring me that they had full confidence in the company's future. Mom lingered after everyone else left, studying me with those sharp eyes that had seen through every lie I'd ever told as a kid. You planned this whole thing, she said. John planned it when he decided to betray his family. I just provided the consequences. And Beth? Beth made her choice. Now she gets to live with it. Mom nodded slowly. Your father would have handled it the same way. He never tolerated disloyalty. I learned from the best. She gathered her purse and headed for the door, then paused. Jamie, don't let this make you bitter. You're better than that. I'm not bitter, Mom. I'm thorough. There's a difference. After she left, I sat alone in the conference room, looking at the scattered photos and documents that had just ended my brother's career at Parish Electrical. My phone was buzzing with notifications. Apparently, word of the board meeting was already spreading through our small business community. Carl poked his head in. How do you feel? Like I just performed major surgery without anesthesia. Necessary, but not particularly enjoyable. John's in the parking lot on his phone, looks upset. I walked to the window and looked down. John was pacing beside his rental car, gesticulating wildly as he talked. Probably calling Beth, or maybe a lawyer, or maybe just screaming into the void. Think he'll try something stupid? Carl asked. John's always been more bark than bite. He'll make threats, maybe try to badmouth us around town, but he won't do anything that requires actual courage. I was wrong about that. Dead wrong. That evening, as I was leaving my apartment to pick up the girls for dinner, John was waiting in the parking lot. He looked like hell, unshaven, wrinkled clothes, eyes red with exhaustion or alcohol or both. We need to talk, he said, blocking my path to the Mustang. We talked this morning. You lost. Go home, John. You destroyed my life today. My career, my reputation, my relationship with Mom. Your relationship with Beth is fine, as far as I know. You two can ride off into the sunset together, assuming she can find a way to monetize it for her Instagram. John stepped closer, and I could smell the whiskey on his breath. This was never about Beth. This was about you finally having an excuse to get rid of me. If I wanted to get rid of you, I would have done it years ago. This is about you crossing a line that can't be uncrossed. We're brothers, Jamie. That has to count for something. We were brothers. Past tense. Brothers don't do what you did. John's face twisted with rage, and for a moment, I thought he might actually take a swing at me. Instead, he got in his car and peeled out of the parking lot, leaving rubber marks on the asphalt and the smell of burned tires in the air. I stood there for a moment, watching his taillights disappear into the evening traffic, and wondered if I'd just made a very dangerous enemy. My phone rang. Beth's number. What now? I answered. John's here, and he's drunk and angry and talking about making you pay for what you did today. Her voice was shaky, scared. Jamie, I think he might do something stupid, like sleep with his brother's wife. This isn't a joke. He's talking about going to your apartment, about confronting you. Let him come. I'm not hard to find. Jamie, please, whatever's happening between us, I don't want anyone to get hurt. Then you should have thought about that 3 months ago. I hung up and got in my car. If John wanted a confrontation, he could have one. But it was going to be on my terms, in my place, with my rules. Time to finish what he'd started. The storm hit at 9 p.m., turning my quiet neighborhood into something from a Stephen King novel. Thunder rolled overhead like bowling balls in heaven's attic, and lightning strobed through my apartment windows as I waited for John to make his move. I didn't have to wait long. The doorbell rang at 9:47 p.m., followed immediately by heavy pounding on the door. I checked the security camera I'd installed after moving in. John stood on my front porch, soaked to the skin, swaying slightly from whatever liquid courage he'd consumed. Jamie's, open the damn door. We're settling this tonight. I opened the door but kept the security chain engaged just enough to see his face. John, you look like crap. Let me in. We're going to talk like men. Men don't sleep with their brothers' wives. Boys do that. Selfish, stupid boys who never learn to control their impulses. John slammed his palm against the door. Open this door or I'll break it down. Go ahead. I've got security cameras recording everything, and I'm sure my neighbors would love to call the police about a drunk man threatening to break into someone's home. That gave him pause. John had always been image conscious, and an arrest record wouldn't help his already damaged reputation. Just let me in, Jamie. 5 minutes. That's all I want. I studied his face through the gap. He was drunk, angry, and desperate. A dangerous combination. But he was also my brother, and despite everything, some part of me still remembered the kid who'd taught me to throw a curveball and helped me with my algebra homework. I closed the door, removed the chain, and opened it again. 5 minutes, then you leave. John stumbled into my apartment, dripping rainwater on the hardwood floors. He looked around at the clean, minimalist space with something like envy. Nice place, very empty. I like it simple. No drama, no complications, no family members stabbing me in the back. You want to talk about stabbing people in the back? John whirled to face me, his eyes blazing. You humiliated me in front of Mom, in front of our clients, in front of everyone we work with. You humiliated yourself. I just provided better lighting. This is all a game to you, isn't it? Destroy John's life, win the prize, get your revenge. I walked to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of water, deliberately calm. John, you want to know what this is really about? It's not about Beth. Hell, you probably did me a favor there. Our marriage was dead anyway. Then what? It's about trust. It's about family. It's about the fact that when you had a choice between loyalty and selfishness, you chose selfishness every single time. John laughed bitterly. Loyalty? Jamie, you've been undermining me at the company for years. Always the favorite, always the smart one, always Mom's golden boy. Because I earned it. I worked 60-hour weeks while you played golf with clients. I handled the technical problems while you handled the schmoozing. I built systems and processes while you built your ego. And you never let me forget it, did you? Always with the jokes, always making me look stupid. You made yourself look stupid. I just pointed it out. Thunder crashed overhead, and the lights flickered. John moved closer, his fists clenched, and for a moment I thought he was actually going to take a swing at me. Instead, he pulled out his phone. You know what, Jamie? You want to play games with social media? Let's play. He opened Instagram Live and pointed the camera at himself. Hey everyone, John Parrish here. You might have seen some stuff online about me and my brother Jamie. Well, I'm here to tell you the truth about what kind of man Jamie Parrish really is. I stared at him in disbelief. John, what are you doing? I'm telling everyone about your little revenge fantasy, about how you set up your own wife, humiliated her in public, destroyed her business, and then came after me for trying to help her through a difficult time. The viewer count on his live stream was climbing. Apparently, family drama was good for engagement. Jamie Parrish is a cold, calculating sociopath who destroys anyone who crosses him. He's vindictive, he's cruel, and he's dangerous. And right now, I'm standing in his apartment while he threatens me. I laughed, which probably wasn't the reaction he was expecting. John, you broke into my apartment in the middle of a thunderstorm, drunk off your A, threatening to settle this like men. Who exactly is threatening whom here? The comments on his live stream were popping up faster than he could read them, but I caught a few. Dude, you're the one who cheated, and this is pathetic. And someone call the cops. You see, John said to the camera, he thinks this is funny. He thinks destroying people's lives is entertainment. I think you're having a very public breakdown, and I think you should stop before you embarrass yourself any further. John's face went red. Embarrass myself? You already did that. You took everything from me, my job, my family, my reputation. I didn't take anything. You threw it all away for a 3-month affair with a woman who posts pictures of her breakfast for attention. That hit home. John's hand shook as he held the phone, and I could see the viewer count climbing past 500. You want to know the truth? John said to his audience. Jamie's been planning this for months. He hired a private investigator to follow me. He set up that whole anniversary party as a trap. He sabotaged my car. Prove it. What? Prove any of it. Show them evidence. Show them contracts with private investigators. Show them receipts for car sabotage. Show them anything other than your word against mine. John's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. The comments were turning against him now. Where's the proof? And this sounds made up. And you cheated on your brother, dude. The truth is, I said, looking directly into the camera, John made a series of bad choices, and now he's dealing with the consequences. He betrayed his family, violated his professional ethics, and damaged our company's reputation. Everything that's happened to him since then has been the natural result of his own actions. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating John's face in stark black and white. He looked like a man drowning in his own mistakes. I loved her, he said quietly, and for a moment, the anger was gone, replaced by something that looked like genuine pain. I know that doesn't excuse what I did, but I loved her. No, you didn't, I said, and my voice was gentler now. You loved the idea of taking something that was mine. You loved the thrill of the secret, the excitement of the affair. But you didn't love Beth. If you had, you would have waited until she was divorced to start a relationship with her. The viewer count had passed 1,000 now, and the comments were a mix of sympathy, criticism, and people just enjoying the drama. John lowered the phone, ending the live stream. What happens now? Now you leave. You go home, you sober up, and you figure out how to rebuild your life without destroying anyone else's. And Beth? Beth's not my problem anymore. She's not your problem either, unless you want her to be. But John? I walked to the door and opened it. Rain was still coming down in sheets, and lightning flickered in the distance. If you ever come to my home drunk and threatening again, I won't be so understanding. Are we clear? John nodded, suddenly looking older than his 42 years. He walked to the door, then paused. I'm sorry, Jamie, for all of it. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am sorry. I know you are. That's the only reason you're walking out of here instead of being carried out. He stepped into the rain and was gone, leaving me alone in my quiet apartment with the sound of thunder rolling away into the distance. My phone was buzzing with notifications. Apparently, John's live stream had been recorded and was already being shared across social media. The comments were overwhelmingly supportive of me, critical of him, and fascinated by the whole mess. I turned off my phone and poured myself a real drink. Whiskey, neat. The way Dad used to drink it when he thought Mom wasn't looking. Outside, the storm was passing, leaving behind the clean smell of rain and the promise of a clearer tomorrow. 3 days later, I got a text from John. Leaving town for a while, starting over somewhere else. Take care of yourself. A week after that, Beth moved back in with her parents, taking her ring lights and her delusions of influencer stardom with her. The girls chose to stay with me most of the time, which surprised no one except Beth. Parish Electrical thrived without John's drama and ego. We landed 3 major contracts in the first month after he left. And our reputation in the business community actually improved once word got around that we'd handled the situation professionally and decisively. As for me, I kept the red Mustang, kept the clean apartment, and kept my sense of humor. Some people called what I did to John and Beth cruel. I called it educational. They learned that actions have consequences. I learned that sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people destroy themselves while you provide better lighting. And in the end, that was enough.